Hey, what is going on, guys? So here I have another finished, painted, completed model to share with you guys, and this would be my repainted kit here of the Bandai Figuarts Labo Asuka figure, or kit, I guess. Yeah, it's a kit, but it's hard to say like a figure or a kit for this one. It's a kit, it's a figure that you build like a kit. Anyway, that's why I love the Labo line. If you guys have seen any of my previous reviews of the kits in the line, I really enjoy the line just because it kind of blurs that line between kit and figure or like statue or whatever. So it's basically kind of like a resin kit, sort of, but it's molded in color. So it's like already half the work's already kind of eliminated because it's such a super nice mold. There's hardly any cleanup they have to do. With this one, basically the only cleanup that was really required was just a lot of mold line removal around, especially on like the arms and the legs, those glossy, super high gloss red parts. If you guys again saw in the original review, obviously it's not high gloss red anymore. So I wanted to do a recolor of this one, changing her suit color. Actually, I got the idea off Twitter. I can't remember at the moment who it was. If I remember the account, I'll put a little thing up on the screen for you guys there, but I saw someone on Twitter had repainted it in a white suit, and I thought it looked super cool. And at first, I wanted to just copy that, just doing it in white, and I thought, oh, I'll do something different and just paint it in a black suit. So I took inspiration for the colors basically from the black plug suit that Rey has in the Evangelion Rebuild movie, I think. The second one or the third one? When is it that she has a black plug suit? I think it's the third one, right? So I basically kind of took the color ideas from Rey's black plug suit and just kind of applied those in a way that kind of made sense to me here on this one. I wanted to use like silver for like the kind of strap sort of parts, and then this sort of meant to look sort of black. It's not obviously pure black. I'll talk a little bit about the colors I used here in a little bit, but then with like the dark red and dark green accent colors on there. So yeah, there wasn't really a whole lot of work required for this kit to prepare to get it ready for painting, just some mold line removal. You could go and do some like other seam line removals, I guess sort of like on the arm parts maybe. It would be really hard to do just because of the way that the clear parts fit into the arms if you wanted to remove like the seam line on like between the forearm and the upper arm or something. There's sort of like a seam line there, but it looks totally organic enough that just looks like part of the suit, so I wouldn't really worry too much about it. So yeah, it was just sanding on this just to get it all prepped and then just painting it, so it's a relatively simple kit to paint. That's the other nice thing about this line. I mean, the kits are expensive in this line, and this one too, it's an expensive kit, but if you want to repaint it like this, it's a really fun kit to repaint and very easy, considering all you really need to do is just sand some mold lines, and that's kind of really about it. So let me talk about some of the colors and things that I used. So for the main color, which is that kind of black looking color, it's actually Gaia Notes 061 Midnight Blue for the color of that. And then to give it kind of like a purple sort of shine to it, I used some Mr. Color, it's the Mr. Crystal Color line from Mr. Hobby. Amethyst Purple, it's XC04 for your reference, but Amethyst Purple spray on that. And when it was really glossy, the purple is super apparent, but then for the top coat that I used on this, I ended up using kind of the normal top coat that I use, which is just a flat matte top coat from Mr. Hobby. Then that took away a lot of the purple, which is exactly what I wanted. It was like way too purple when it was glossy, so I'm really glad that the top coat really toned down the purple a lot. You can still see it when the light hits it, you can still see a little bit of that purple shine there, and it looks really nice, but it's not like overbearing. Because I didn't want it to look purple, I wanted it to look black. But you can still see like a little bit of that purple color there when the light hits it, right, which looks really nice. So that was kind of it. Then for the red parts, that's just like Mr. Color Russet, I believe. And for the silver parts, it's just Mr. Color Silver, nothing really special about that. The green parts on there, like around her neck and like the backpack, which is basically covered by the hair, but the backpack part is also in green. But all of that, it was just like a custom mix colors. I didn't have an exact kind of green that I wanted, so it was just a mix of a couple of green and blue kind of colors. Same thing for the hair. What I was thinking at first was to not totally repaint the hair, but just kind of shade it a little bit. But then I was like, oh, no, I think I'll just repaint it entirely. So it actually took me a couple of tries because I tried a color and it was, I first did like the base in Gaia Notes, I think it's called Pure Brown is the color from Gaia, which is like totally not a look, it's a really orangey brown kind of color. It's quite an ugly color, but that was a good like dark base. And then for the color on top of that, it kind of took me a couple of experiments to really get a color that I quite liked, but this one I did like. It was a mix of some yellow, orange, and tan kind of color. So it's not like super yellowy, and so it has a nice kind of look to it. So really happy with how the hair came out. It has that dark reddish, brownish, orangish kind of base color, which you can still see like some shadows of there, and then it's got the lighter color on top of that. So it's got a really nice look to it. I think the hair came out really good. So really happy that I did decide to go ahead and just completely repaint that. As for the face, luckily, if you're like me, and you're kind of struggling still, you know, getting used to painting skin tones, I think I'm getting a little bit better at it, but slowly but surely. Anyway, so what I did for this, and what I would recommend you guys to maybe try as well too, is not to paint the face. So the good thing is that this kit hardly has any skin tone to paint, basically just the face and the neck, sort of, a little bit of neck that there is. But so aside from that, I just didn't paint it at all. I just shaded it. So I used the Mr. Color Lascivus line. I used the clear pale red. Is the color that I use for that, just to do a little bit of shading on that, just on the faces, basically just kind of shade the cheeks and the neck a little bit, and then like up on the forehead, which is, you can't really see that at all. It's just kind of a thing to do, but it doesn't really seem all that necessary. And I did paint the lip slightly, and I painted the little white dots on there. It's kind of gives it that sort of like anime, I don't know, kind of look to it. I've seen a bunch of people paint that on the kits, and it seems kind of good. Anyway, it looks good anyway, so I wanted to try it. So it had the little kind of white highlight dot on there as well too. And that was about it. So I kind of managed to just make the face look a lot better without actually having to completely repaint the thing, just relying on the skin tone that we had from Bandai, which the skin tone from Bandai was quite pale. So I think shading it a little bit definitely helps to give much more life to the skin tone color there. I think I probably ended up pushing it a little bit too red. The cheeks and the face probably a little bit too rosy ultimately, but anyway, it looks better than it did originally, and it's anyway, good learning experience always. It may not be perfect, but I think it came out looking pretty good. So that is really about it. Then I just used a bunch of decals on it. Most of the decals are Mecha decals, and so those are of course beautiful decals. It was really tricky to choose the decals for this because honestly the text on the decals, I used the 1/100 scale ones, so they're a little bit larger, but still, like, if you think about this realistically, the text would still be really tiny. So if this was like an actual like 1:1 scale like human plug suit, if it had any text on it, which it does kind of seem a little bit like, you could argue that it kind of doesn't really make sense that it even would have markings on it, so that was just kind of a thing that probably wouldn't have at all, but I just wanted to add some on there anyway, just to add some kind of details to the plug suit. But anyway, the text is still way too small. I did have some other decals that are like meant for 120 scale kind of stuff, like Machine Krieger type stuff, but that also just, the style of the decals just didn't really fit well, so realistically, the decals probably don't really make a whole lot of sense, but anyway, they're just on there to add just a couple little bits of detail here and there. And that is about it. For the base lace, the last thing I'm talking about, just the base. The base is just that clear dark blue. Actually, I spray painted, airbrushed, I should say. Airbrushed some Gun Chrome, I think is the color. Mr. Color Gun Chrome, I believe is the color. So it's just a bright chrome color. I sprayed underneath that. So it makes the text, it makes like the base a little bit more kind of bright, I suppose, a little bit, slightly, and the text that is molded onto the inside of the base is slightly more visible, but still not really all that much. So that is it for this kit, guys. Let me know your thoughts about it. How do you think it turned out? Do you like the change in the color? I know some people, when it comes to this kind of thing, can be purists, and they'll not like it if it's anything other than red. They'll just, some of you guys may just immediately not like it at all. I'm really happy with it. I think it came out looking very cool. It was a really fun kit to paint, just simple, you know, doesn't take a whole lot of time or effort. So it's one of those things you can just spend a little bit of time and effort on that just to repaint it, and you get a really nice results. In my opinion, I think it came out looking pretty good. So I'm happy with it. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. And of course, if you guys want to check out this kit, I'm not sure off the top of my head if we still have any in stock at USA Gundam Store, or if we are going to be getting any more. I know these kits tend to sell out pretty quick, but if we don't have any now, hopefully we're able to get some more in the near future. But you can check out what we've got in stock there at USA Gundam Store. Otherwise, I'm sure there's other of the previous released Figuarts Labo kits there on the site, or just whatever else you guys might find that you like on the site. Check the link to the website and use the coupon code there in the video description down there as well. So check that out. Thank you, as always, to USA Gundam Store for making it all possible. So with that, guys, thank you so much for your support, liking the video, commenting, subscribing. If you think that it looks pretty cool, give a like or share it around in a different Facebook page or something, and that'll be greatly appreciated. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.